Yes, sir. Welcome back to another Trap or Die film session. I am your host of the Trap or Die podcast, Mual, Jamal Forrest. And on this episode, man, we're going to continue down the Jayden Daniels profile, man. And this one specifically, we're going to tap into how he handles pressure, the good, what makes him a threat, maybe some things that stands out in a negative way, like some bad habits. Who knows, like how it'll look on the next level, and maybe it's just something slight that he did sparingly that wasn't really a big problem, or that may not be a big problem to his game. But it's always important to see how NFL prospects, college pro prospects handles certain situations as a passer, and obviously depending on their position, other situations and other circumstances. So without further ado, man, let me know your thoughts on Jayden Daniels as this video continues. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. But let's go ahead and get into Jayden Daniels right now. So first up is against Mississippi State. Let's go ahead and run this play and then talk about it for a second. But the good thing with Jayden Daniels that you see immediately is his competitiveness, his physical toughness. Also to note, as we continue through these film sessions, right, as the profiles for these quarterbacks continue, you may see some overlapping plays because, you know, they fit multiple categories of their game. So if you do see some of the same plays, sorry, not sorry, but you know, it is what it is. But anyway, as you see, slot fade, big play for LSU. And in a really good ball under pressure. And again, like I said, that mental toughness, that physical toughness, first off, to sit in the pocket and to make that throw, right? No wasted movement. He dropped back in and let it rip. But also like very good ball placement to understand that if I get this far to the sideline, I'm gonna trust my receiver. He's gonna be able to go up and get under that football, right? So that's a good step for him. Just processing anyway where he can go with this football. So again, understanding I'm gonna hold that safety, right, or look for that safety before I let this one rip towards that fade. It's a really good ball placement. The cornerback couldn't get to it, only the receiver could, and he put it out there knowing that eventually, right, even though this defender's playing close to 10 yards off the ball, my receiver's gonna smoke him, and he did just that. Well executed play for a touchdown. So next thing, in addition to him being able to be physically tough in the pocket, make those throws, stand tall in the pocket from the sense of like taking those big hits, it's also his pocket awareness from understanding where pressure is, or being evasive enough to navigate in the pocket and make defenders make mistakes, right? Obviously, this is a situation where nobody downfield is open for LSU on a third down, right? This is the game that he's putting the team on his back to overcome Missouri, right? He has to do what he can multiple times where he's trailing in the fourth quarter to make these type of plays, right? So you're talking about a third down situation where he has to make something shake and nobody's open. So now you're seeing what happens when defenders, first off, aren't able to bring him down. That's another thing that people need to take into account, is his play strength in the pocket, right? That's underrated for him being like in terms of frame, a smaller quarterback, or a lighter quarterback is probably the easier or the best word to say it. So when he gets around the defender on his right side, right, having that feel to step up a little bit, but have that agility and quickness, let's kind of put it all together, right? That lateral agility, that lateral quickness, and now just the foot speed to beat people to edges and angles. That's very important. So you get a third down conversion from a quarterback who, he didn't just abandon the play immediately. He made something shake when he realized, one, nobody's open, but two, I got immediate pressure on my right side. Again, same thing when we talk about defenders rushing him, but also not being able to bring him down, right? That elusiveness, foot speed, like he's smoking DBs from Alabama. And this is a 2-minute drill situation. So you're talking about, you want to get the ball out of your hands quickly, right? And you want to make sure that this ball is getting out of bounds or getting down the field as quick as possible with the time remaining. And he just picked up 30 plus yards because, one, again, let's go back to that conversation with Missouri, like that instant pressure. I got to make something shake, right? But also recognizing that there is nobody in my immediate space to where I can't take off and make something shake. Like those defenders' backs are towards the quarterback. You're talking about man coverage essentially, right? and now beating every single person from the second and third level down the field. All right, we're talking about, we have to keep that in context. 2-minute situation, he's already inside the 35-yard line because of his foot speed, his agility, right? Like, those are things that is hard to come by. And if you can't maintain your rush integrity as a defensive line, or even have your spy in the proper position to defeat his angles as a runner, you're in trouble. That's exactly what you get. So here's a 4th and 4 situation for LSU against Texas A&M, right? Man across the board. They're not playing around, but also the left tackle gets beat easily and quickly, and essentially bringing instant pressure on Jayden. Now, I think, honestly, what you have here on your field side, right, with that slot receiver, is like your slant action, which is also open to Jayden initially if you want to take that, right? So he did slightly hesitate when he did work his way back to that field side progression. But again, when he's working the boundary side first, right, he's working back to that field side. Maybe there was a delay because he feels that pressure. It just made him pause, right? But now you see what happens again when you make a swing at Jayden and you miss, or tackle attempt and you miss. 4th and 4, he gets all of this towards the sideline and damn near scores. So here we go against Ole Miss, facing some instant pressure, and you see how he's able to sit in there and make a play, sacrifice in terms of taking that big hit for the team, right? And his receivers making them right. Again, you'll see a different angle with 13 and 2. Number 13 and number 2 for Ole Miss, essentially creating that middle pressure with the line games that Ole Miss had going on, right? And 2 ultimately gets in for a free rush and a hit on the quarterback. Completely legal hit on the quarterback. And again, as we talk about his frame, right, what is one of the biggest things we understand him to be? Light and ass. He's a very light quarterback. He has a light frame, but it doesn't matter, right? No wasted throwing motion, right? Very quick in his decision making, understands the window that he has, right? Because this isn't just, a wide open receiver in a sense. Look at where number 11 is for Ole Miss. He has to fit this in this window and allow that receiver to keep moving, right? Like it can seem like he's wide open, but he's really not. Like, there's a window that he has to fit this football into, get it over that linebacker, and make sure that it's still in front of number 8 so he doesn't get slowed down at all. And then you see the playmaking ability with his receivers, and that's important. Now, this is an example as we start to turn into some of the concerns. This was a completion. This was a good play ultimately for for LSU. Right, he's able to get out of this and make things shake. But I think for Jayden, right, if he just stands, I don't know if the word stand, like, I think he is a little bit rattled in a sense, as you can see by his movement now. At this point, he's feeling some pressure and he's dancing a little bit. Ultimately, it works out for him. But I think if you stand tall in the pocket in terms of like with your trusting your footwork, just sliding up just slightly a little bit without looking for that alley to run, you don't miss the dig. So look at your closest receivers with your tight end and your wide receiver near the bottom of your screen, right? You have that end breaking route where, again, if you just step up as opposed to panic a little bit, you may have that shot to number 8 as he's crossing over the middle. So I think as we play it from this angle, you'll kind of see a little bit of a bigger picture in terms of what I'm referring to, right? It's just being able to remain calm under pressure, right? Like at this point, you see him in his head movement, like he's trying to get up out of there. And you don't have to do that just yet, right? So that's kind of what you want to see in terms of consistency. Like he's able to take some hits, he's able to make some throws under pressure, but you also don't want him to panic in the way in which he seemingly looked like he did right here. Just step up a little bit. You still have a clean pocket, right? You can work these angles and make the right throw if you need to, right? But again, because of Jayden's athleticism, he can make something like this happen. I think you can live and die with those choices so long as they aren't terrible choices in decision making. So we talk about decision making. Here's one of those ones that you hope is cleaned up on the next level. But you see what he did, right, in terms of like throwing cross body while under pressure. When some things go too too bad and maybe like it seems like you don't have any other options, it's okay to throw the football away, right? Like he's trying to avoid a sack here. He doesn't want a sack, right? So he's like, all right, well, I'm gonna make this throw. I'm gonna try to make this throw. And now this one was incomplete, but you get the bigger picture, especially when you try these on the next level. You know, somebody, if you continue being comfortable with these things, is going to ultimately hurt your offense, hurt your team, because you're getting the defense back on the field because you threw a pick, right? I mean, you could just throw the football away. Again, same thing, kind of what we talked about when he panics under pressure sometimes. Again, this isn't his MO, right? This isn't always his MO, but you kind of get a bigger picture in terms of like when there's nobody open. Sometimes, you know, some of the better quarterbacks coming into the NFL does this too. And this also looks like, in my opinion as well, like him trusting his legs. And maybe those do get you in trouble sometimes, right? I believe this was 4th down too. So that's also context. Like if it's 4th down or 3rd down, you know, I'm trying to make something shake because I don't want our offense to get off the field. So throwing away really doesn't help. But you kind of understand in this moment, yeah, that was 3rd down. So you kind of understand in this moment how important it is to live for another down. Because you never know what happens if you get sacked too, right? You may mess around and get hurt. And as a quarterback and as a future franchise quarterback, that's important. So in this instance, it's all along the lines of what he sees sometimes under pressure, drops his head, you know, starts looking at that rush, and that ultimately can get him in trouble too. Again, when I talk about these negatives though for Jayden, these are small bits here and there. You don't know what it'll grow into and develop, and it may just be like one-offs, right? But you kind of see when the moments are him like giving up on a play in particular, right? He's starting to feel that pressure a little bit close to him, and now he's looking at alleys to get out of this pocket because I want to use my legs and get out of this situation. You don't always see something like this, but at the same time, you don't want this habit to develop into something that he does. Or excuse me, you don't want these smaller issues to develop into a habit. And that's kind of the situation here with Jayden. So again, that's going to wrap it up for this film session. You kind of seen how he handled pressure, good and bad. He's solid. He can take the tough hits. He can make the big time throws on structure while under pressure, right? Those are really good signs from what you want in your prospect. And you also saw he can make a defense vulnerable if you don't have an answer for him in terms of a spy or being in contain or having eyes to the quarterback. He'll make you pay 9 times out of 10. But then you also saw a quarterback sometimes who drops his head too much. He also can panic under pressure from the standpoint of like having that base that you need to navigate a pocket. But also you're seeing sometimes a person who believes in his legs a little bit too much, as opposed to living for another down. But those are smaller sample sizes compared to the type of quarterback he is under pressure, which is really good and an impressive quarterback. So that being said, that's gonna wrap it up for this film session. Let us know how you feel in the comments, man. Until next time, get out of here. Peace.
Watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through 4th and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive, this is Trap or Dive.